Hey, it's Greg Grunberg. Yes, I am Captain Seth Norris from Oceanic 815. Yes, Snap Wexley from Star Wars. Yes, Matt Parkman from Heroes. Bloody, bloody, blah. None of those shows compare to the Sci-Fi Diner podcast. That's the show I'm most proud of. And I am saying that because it's in the script. Okay. So here we are at the diner together. Are you going to buy me a stack of hotcakes? I'll do one. I'll do one better. I'll buy you a milkshake right here on the Sci-Fi Diner podcast.
Sci-fi fans, we're going to be at Shore Leave 2024, and tonight we have the privilege to hang out with a member of a very exclusive club. How many people do you know have been in two of the most popular and prolific sci-fi franchises ever? Star Trek and Star Wars. Two opposite ends of the spectrum, depending on the geekdom you're talking about. And tonight we're talking with a two-time Saturn Award nominated Mr. Greg Grunberg.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, who's not only featured prominently in Star Wars sequels and two Star Trek movies directed by J.J. Abrams, but whose IMDb resume is impressive, with voice work, movies, TV shows, and more. Mr. Grunberg, welcome, and thank you for taking time to chat with us.
Are you kidding me? Podcast. Anything with the word diner in it, I'm there.
I mean, come on, you didn't play a policeman for nothing, right?
Exactly. But I thought maybe you guys would send me, a tuna melt and some onion rings. I mean, if we're gonna do
something like that, or some donuts,
diner, let's do it right.
Let's bring it on. That would have been perfect. We should have done that, David. Note to self: next time we have him on. Right?
There you go.
That would be perfect. Go ahead, Dave.
All right. So your acting career has taken you to some very interesting places. One thing that I did find in there, looking back through it, one of my favorite movies of all time, Basketball. I didn't realize until now that you were in that, which is amazing. I got to go watch it again.
So the two that I get when people bring it up is either Basketball or three. Basketball, Malibu's Most Wanted, or a movie that I'm really proud of that I helped produce and star in it called Big Ass Spider. And those three are like these cult classics. And now this new one that I did relatively new called Max Reload and the Nether Blasters. I love doing these movies, man. I'm sorry, you were going to ask a question, but
that's great.
That's great.
It's a cool movie.
Did you ever think through all of that it could take you to a place where young lads like me, young ladies, the cockpit of an X-Wing? Did you ever think it would get there?
No. And I'll tell you also, my oldest friend in the whole world is J.J. Abrams. We grew up together. We met when we were 5, right? So
that's fantastic.
Yeah, he's my oldest and dearest friend. And so we've come up in the business together. And of course, as an actor, you're waiting for people to hire you. So it's not like I've had the opportunity to hire JJ at any time in my career. And so when, and we talk every day. So when that whole thing happened, when he was going to do Star Wars, it was like the most exciting thing to both of us. And he is just as big a fan as I am. And we were both right there at the Avco Theater in Westwood to see the first movie, when it all first happened. And it's just one of those movies and one of those canons that you just dream as an actor to be a part of. And obviously I would not have been a part of it if it wasn't for JJ, but to make me an X-Wing, to actually, to go to Pinewood Studios in London and shoot, and then not just be in one of them, but it'd be in and granted, I have a small role in these movies, but you don't really have any small roles in these movies. People really remember all the characters. And so to be an X-Wing pilot and then I had I died. Spoiler alert. I die in episode 9.
Oh man.
But just an absolute dream. Anytime I get to work with JJ, the two of us, it's the best time ever on set and everything. But then for all of it, we were slack-jawed the whole time. We were just like, is this really happening? This is crazy. and by the way, I have a photo like in episode 7, we're all around the holographic image and we're planning the attack, and and Oscar starts and he's like, all right, so Snap, he did some reconnaissance, and I'm standing there and I'm looking at like Leia and Solo and and C-3PO. It's like, what is going on? What is happening right now? And the first take, I I did my thing, and Boyega, like, we're standing there, and then JJ yells cut, and he always just uses me as a foil. So he's like, cut, that was great, everybody except for Greg. What the fuck was that? And then he comes over to me, which is hilarious. He comes over to me and he whispers in my ear, he goes, that was really good, but between your lines, I'm watching you watch the movie. And it's like I'm standing on set looking at these characters like, oh my God, what am I doing here? I mean, David, I'm sorry. That's a long way.
No, it's great though. That's great.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Can you imagine? Like, I am exactly like you guys. I mean, I'm just going to take the assumption that you're just huge fans of this.
Oh, we are. Yes, we are.
Yeah. So it was just absolutely a dream.
Did you and JJ grow up? I mean, you grew up watching Star Wars, I assume.
Yes, and also Twilight Zone was a big thing for us, and Star Trek. I mean, even though JJ was a big part of Star Trek and still is, Star Trek was not as big for us. I actually speak for myself, and I know JJ too. Like, we watched the original series, and we watched stuff, and we saw the movies come out and all that, and Star Trek. But Star Wars was. I just remember it's the first time that I left the theater and thought about where the characters had come from, where they were going. You don't usually do that at that age, 12 and 13, right. Like going, wow. I mean, it blew me away. George Lucas was so far ahead of his time creatively and so brilliant. It's just incredible how he captured all of our imaginations. And you hear the stories of the networks. I mean, the studio executives going, what is this? This is ridiculous. What is this? And you can imagine, because nothing like this had been done before that I knew of, And so, yeah, it just blew me away.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah. Well, like we said in the intro, you're kind of a part of an exclusive club being featured in, two of these movies, not only two Star Wars movies, but then being also a part of the Star Trek franchise. The only one I know who's done that is maybe Simon Pegg. Is it just the two of you, or are there more people that have kind of?
There are more. Both? Deep Roy was in both. There's a few. There are a few, and I'm reminded of them at cons. Like,
right.
Introduce me that way, and then someone in the audience, "Who's this guy?" And I'm like, I don't know. Like, come on, there's a lot of actors in these movies, but I think you're right in saying that there's a handful, and it's a very it's an honor to be in. And again, it's just because of my buddy. I mean, JJ.
Right.
I am the greatest actor on the planet, but besides that, you still need someone to hire you.
Right.
I mean, I did recently a movie called The Fabelmans, and when I'm working with Steven Spielberg, and he says to me, "Can't believe you were in both of those franchises." I'm like, what?
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Just amazing.
All I can remember is hearing you yell across the radio speaker of the Corvette that young Kirk's driving, and you're screaming at him to get back. He's got his ass back home. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, so I was supposed to play Olsen, who was a red shirt and who dives down and dies. And so, but I was lucky enough to get financing for a movie that I co-wrote and co-produced and starred in, and Larry Trilling is a brilliant director and filmmaker. That was our it was this movie called Group Sex. It's a romantic comedy. Don't Google it, kids, because other things come up. But it's a romantic comedy set in the world of a sexaholic recovery group, and it's really funny. I mean, Tom Arnold, Henry Winkler. I cast all my friends in it. Anyway. When you have a low budget movie, you can't really change dates, right? So you have your dates locked, and you don't have the money to kind of adjust. And of course, it fell on the same day that I was supposed to, one of the days that I was supposed to shoot Star Trek. And so JJ was like, "Wait, are you kidding me? Like, this is a great role." And also he thought, which was great, because I was kind of known then as well and already. And so he's like, people are going to see you in a red shirt. They're going to be like, "Oh, he's going to die," because the red shirts die. So. I couldn't do it. And then he, being the sweetheart that he is, he was like, "Well, you got to be in this somehow." And he made me Kirk's evil stepdad. And so, when I listen back, it's so funny. It's like that kid was so great driving the Corvette, and
right.
It's just a memorable thing. And then I got the opportunity, because I voiced that. I was able to play Commander Finnegan in Beyond. And so then I was like, okay, now I'm able to be on camera and work with Simon Pegg and all those guys. It was great.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And I know there's no judgment from us, but based on the last bit of conversation, you do have a favorite between the two franchises, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to reveal it here in the diner, but
right. I mean, why would we talk about that, right? Those are fighting words.
That's right.
Look, I mean, all I have to say is I got to work with the greatest of all time, in my opinion, one of the GOATs, Carrie Fisher. So, like, you cannot beat that. As much as I love Star Trek and I love everything about it. I mean, I really do. I love everything about it. The lessons that it teaches and the how it brings people together generationally. I've talked to so many people that are like, oh, I watched this with my dad and, or mom or whatever. It bonds a lot of people and they do a lot of good. By the way, they've supported my charities, the Star Trek community and the Star Wars community. But yeah, to be able to work with Carrie, and then I worked with her after she passed. I mean, in 9, I had that scene with her, even though she wasn't there. And then Billy has become a friend. She and I are friends. So I just can't think of Star Wars without thinking about her and Oscar and John and Daisy. And I mean, it was just these are really, really, really special people. And it's a bucket list thing that I didn't know what I was falling into. I knew how much I loved it, but I didn't know how much I would treasure it, and I really do.
That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you were a part of Lost as well, right? Because of JJ.
Worst pilot ever, right here. Worst pilot ever. I crashed.
Crashed the plane.
They crashed the plane, but the show would have been called Hover if I didn't crash the plane.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, that was another one where JJ was like, hey, I want you to play this role. Come out to Hawaii. I'm like, okay.
Or like twist my arm, Hawaii.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And I get out there and they're fitting me. I literally on that did not know what I was going to play. And they're fitting me. I go right when I landed, they took me to wardrobe and they're fitting me for a pilot's outfit. And I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. And then watching, the second hour of the pilot it's cool again when you see a familiar face and you go, oh, he's going to be on this show. And then I get eaten by the smoke monster 5 minutes later, so it was like, again, a great, great cameo. Thank you. JJ.
Right.
You're making me realize I need much better friends in my life.
Exactly.
Sorry, Dave.
Scott, you're letting Dave down.
I am. I mean,
right. I can't say that. He's the reason I'm actually here talking to you tonight, so it works out well for all of us.
Yeah, and I'm sure he gives you a discount when he has to rehoof your horse.
Yeah,
what is going on behind you, Scott?
So this is Dave was chiding me before the show. He goes, you have your Amish torture chamber behind you. So little fact, I grew up, my background's Mennonite, right? And so I grew up on this Mennonite farm. And so these are like relics from this farm in my other life. So this is kind of the I don't live on that farm anymore, but this background has my torture chamber is now
I love it.
Part of it. So
I love it. And where do you keep the Freddy mask? Like, do you keep it?
Right. Exactly. So I need that here, and along with all my other torture, my Saul cameo.
That's very cool. Very cool. I love it.
So yeah. Question though, my first experience though was not Lost. My first experience was actually watching you on Heroes, right?
Yeah.
And so like. You get to be in these two shows, but then you get to play a superhero with perhaps one of the best taglines ever, like "Save the cheerleader, save the world." Right?
Yeah. I mean,
tell me a little bit about how you got that part. I mean, you got nominated for 2 Saturn Awards out of it.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that whole experience.
That was really, really cool. I mean, I had come off of, I was on Felicity, then I was on Alias, and then I had signed a deal with NBC to do a sitcom, which I starred in, but they didn't pick up. And then I did a few episodes of another show called, what was it called? Oh no, that was after. I mean, I want to do comedy. I really want to do comedy. So they kept sending me comedies, and I met with some showrunners and stuff, and nothing stuck. And then right before my deal expired, they were like, "Well, would you be open to drama?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course, if it's really, really good." And they sent me this script, and I freaked out. I mean, that script, if you haven't seen it, like the actual physical thing, it is just incredible. Like there's pictures, drawings of cockroaches throughout. Like you're turning a page, you're like, oh, there's a cockroach drawn on the script, and then you open it up. There's a fold out of the actual eclipse, and it was so well thought out. Tim Kring did such a brilliant job creating it, and So they said, yeah, well, you want to go in and read? So I'm like, yeah. So I went in and read for Milo's role, believe it or not. And, Peter Petrelli, and I went in, and they were all sitting there, and they were just squirming. And I could see that I was doing a horrible job of being Peter. But then they said, would you be open to like another role? And I was like, yeah, well, yeah. And I didn't even remember hearing that, but they said it. And then I left. And as I was driving home, they said, they loved you. They don't want you, good news, bad news. You're the worst Peter Petrelli ever. But there's a role that they have not even shown anybody yet. And it's for, Matt Parkman. And would you be open to that? And I said, I want to do anything I can in this thing. So they made my deal, and I was thrilled. And they were so good to me. It was really again, one of these like seminal moments, because I had been on shows and it was like, oh, I know that guy, but no one knew my name up till that point, until I did Heroes, because Heroes was the #1 show all over the world. It was crazy, and it kind of made stars out of all of us.
The first couple of seasons were incredible,
and it made stars out of all of us without any one of us having to carry the show. I mean, Mossy and Milo obviously were, the big parts of that show, but we all had our storylines, we all had our things. None of us worked together until the season finale. If you really think about it, I didn't do scenes with anybody. I had my own stuff going, and she had her thing, and Allie had. It was just, it was great.
There were separate storylines. And part of, I think, the love of the show was, how are these things going to intersect? Because they have to intersect sometime.
Yeah, and they did, like the Company Man episode, and by the way, you can, I have this band now, the Action Figures Band, and people can go to theactionfiguresband.com and see it. And it started way back. Hugh Laurie and I started a band together, and then other people came on board. But Adrian Pasdar is still in that band with me. Jack Coleman sings with us. Jorge Garcia from Lost is in the band. And plays when he can with us. Dan Fogler. We have all these people over the years. I don't let anybody go. Like if you go to that website, or if you go to talkaboutitonvideo.com, that's my charity site. That's where I do a lot of work with epilepsy and other conditions, trying to raise awareness and remove stigma.
That's fantastic.
But thank you. But talkaboutitonvideo.com, you'll see everybody from Jennifer Garner, Lady Gaga, like Bradley Cooper, everybody I've ever worked with. I don't let them go. I'm like, you're going to be singing with me or dancing on stage, or you're going to be doing some charity and PSAs, and they all do it. And it's been wonderful.
That's fantastic. Hugh Laurie. Yeah. That's great.
My God. Yeah. That was nuts.
But so how'd you connect with, let me ask you this, just a random question. How'd you get connected with Hugh Laurie? What do you know?
I did an episode of House, which I was really proud of. Yeah, if you look up my episode of House, I'm like really proud of that episode. It was
good,
really emotional. I got to kick Gregory House in the balls. I was the first person to do that, and kind of give him shit back right in his face. And we hit it off right away. And Jesse Spencer, who has gone on to be star of Chicago Fire and everything. Jesse's in the band. Jesse plays fiddle in the band. Hugh played everything in there. But we were on Tonight Show. We were on American Idol as the band from TV. That's what it was called back then, band from TV. Now that we're doing a lot of conventions, we do. I wish we were at Shore Leave. Like that would be
fantastic.
Oh my gosh!
My God. I'm really, really, really thrilled that I'm able to come to Shore Leave and meet everyone and sign autographs, take pictures, and all that stuff. But when the band comes out, it's a whole other level. Like we play the party, and I think, by the way, at Shore Leave, I'm also going to be hosting the cosplay, the
masquerade,
competition, or judging. So that's really
awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome. Since you're talking about Shore Leave, in 2 months, we're going to be attending Shore Leave Con, where you'll be a guest, obviously, along with a bunch of other people. And people will come. They will be nerding out over everything you're done. And I have 2 questions here. Number one, does it ever get weird? Does it ever weird you out that people are still passionate about things you've done years ago? And then number 2, what are some things that make you geek out or would make you nerd out? So the 2-part question there.
It's a great questions. The first one, I'm always surprised, like when David mentioned, like basketball. I mean, that was like working with Matt and Trey. I was so desperate for work. I was so thrilled that they hired me to be this. What was he? this Italian Goomba guy. What was the
Yeah,
I forgot
his
the name of our team.
Oh,
but,
the New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey informants.
That's informants.
Yeah. So some people say, or Baby Daddy. I was on the show at Disney Channel. I was, I never say no. So I work. I love to work. Jennifer Love Hewitt is a good friend of mine. We're just about to do a movie together, and she always calls me. She's like, "Hey, I want you to play my husband," or "Hey, I want you to play this." So I was on the client list. And even at a con like Shore Leave, which you'd expect it to be all sci-fi and genre stuff, people are fans of what they're fans of. This game show I'm doing, 25 words or less, like people come up and I'm like, sure. And I sign things and it's just awesome, man. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. And then do I geek out? Yes. Are you kidding me? I geek out at the weird. I got to meet, Steve Gutenberg. I geeked out about him. I was like, oh, I love you, man. I go back to like the Chicken Chronicles and Splash and all these, movies. When I get to meet people that I admire so much, and they say don't meet your heroes, but I got to tell you, 90% of the time there is the 10% that I'm like, oh, what a douchebag. But 90% of the time, everybody is just like I try to be, and it's just, this is something. Shore Leave is an example of like something that just brings us all together. Like we all have a love for it. If you're an actor and you don't love that stuff, what are you doing there? Right. I don't just like, I like to come out in front of the table. I like to hug people. I like to see people and engage and talk to them. And I don't know, I am exhausted at the end of every day, but I geek out about how much people geek out about being there, really.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Go ahead, Dave, with the number 7.
So what's next on the horizon for you coming up here? Is there any kind of project that we can look forward to and be plugging?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll just tell you as much as I can, but there's one, I just finished 8 episodes of a new show for Max with JJ. We're getting the band back together, and it's Josh Holloway from Lost. You mentioned Lost. So Josh Holloway plays a guy who works for the mob, and he drives a Plymouth Duster, and the whole show takes place in 1970. So I play the head of the FBI in Phoenix, and Rachel Hilson is in it, and there's an amazing cast. Keith David, a bunch of great people, Corbin Burnson. But we just finished 8 episodes, and they're editing them now. We're finishing them up, and hopefully that gets on soon. And then my podcast stuff I'm doing the Felicity podcast, hosting that, which is out right now on Spotify. It's incredible for me to be able to like revisit all the people that have been on. Amazing people were on that show back in the day. So we're interviewing all those people, and that's a lot of fun. And that's everywhere that you get your podcast. You can get, it's called Dear Felicity. And Talk About It is my podcast, and that I've been doing for years. And that's really great. We're branching out to all different conditions, and I really encourage people to check out the podcast and also go to talkaboutitonvideo.com. You'll see your favorite celebrities, and you'll learn stuff about, mainly epilepsy, but now our oldest son has epilepsy and he's doing well, but it's our cause. So, been working hard at that. And then I this is top secret, but we're about to advertise it. I just finished producing a 4-hour documentary series on Pete Rose, on baseball player Pete Rose.
Fantastic! I watched Pete Rose live.
Yeah, he's an incredible guy, and he deserves this.
Is he in the documentary?
Oh yeah, he better be. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I chased him for 2 years, got the rights, and we became close during this whole 2 years of making it. And I'm really proud of it. It's 4 hours that just shows what he's the GOAT, and he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame and all of that. So,
and where's that going to be airing?
That's on HBO Sports. So that'll be on Max and HBO.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit, but you said, where can we find out about the action figures?
So the action figures, you can go to theactionfiguresband.com and you can see where we're going to be playing. But we're playing STLV, which is the Star Trek convention in Vegas. We played it last year, and there was like 3,000 people we played for. It was great. And we get people from the convention to get up. We play all the covers. Our band plays covers, man. And people want to enjoy themselves. They want to have a good time. And so everybody in the band is there signing, and then we play the Friday night party. We're also playing, like I said, in Comic-Con from San Diego, that big Comic-Con company, they're doing their first cruise. It's called the Comic-Con Cruise. And I think you can go to thecomicconcruise.com and find out more about that. But Shore Leave's like the one I'm really excited about. By the way, it's right at my birthday. It's like right around that time. So
right. We'll have to sing happy birthday there.
Thank you. Yeah. It's going to be really good. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Cool.
Well, we just want to thank you so much for chilling with us tonight and chatting with us a little bit about what's going on in your world. We're excited to see you at Shore Leave here at the end of July, and excited to invite you into Lancaster County so we can torture you with these devices behind me. And
I love it. By the way, I not too far from you in Hershey. How far is Hershey?
It's like an hour away.
Okay, yeah. So this is a challenge. I played. There was a movie that I did called Paterno with Al Pacino, and I played Scott Paterno. I played, Al played my dad, and I played Scott Paterno. And Scott Paterno is an amazing guy, and he lives in Hershey or right outside of Hershey, maybe in Lancaster. And I challenge you, if you're listening to this, he's probably not, but if you're listening to this, Scott, come out to Shore Leave. I want to see you. I need to give you a hug. The two Scott Paternos need to meet. So
there we
hopefully
go.
we can make that happen.
We can make that happen.